Welcome to Constructive Outrage, episode 74. Why make original statues? Why make original statues? There's no nostalgia tied to original statues. There's no freaking deep connection to an original statue. Or is there? To help me figure that out, we got the homie AK-47 in the house tonight. Shout out to AK-47. Yeah, look at that tool. That's the tool I use when I got to get some dirt and some black Air Force Ones. You feel me? Yeah. Ladies and gentlemen, we got Critical Mass going to help me figure this out tonight. How you doing, Critical Mass? Oh, great. You're doing his Sensei Namaste stuff. I see it. Hey, somebody who could really help us out with this is someone who has extensive knowledge and some originality. Let's give it up for Anthony Mestas of Sideshow in the house tonight, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome. How's everybody doing today?
Doing great. Good. Hello, Antonio.
Good. What's up, man? How's it going, guys?
Good, man. No, yeah, I think this is an interesting topic, being that the first time I was always of the mind that I had to have a connection or like a license or something like that. But as time went by, you just realize there's a lot of restrictions that come with that. You know what I mean? There's a lot of let's say there's a certain, what's a good, Emma Frost or, somebody that sexy by nature, whatever. You can't really get too out of the way. Not saying we want it to be real thirsty, but, just some sort of a little bit. But I see a lot of that happening in original IPs, like the Succubus is the one that stuck out to me. I was like, it's tastefully done, it's classic, it's a character I always love in fantasy, and it's doing all of the things that I would want a character like that to look like and do. So we're gonna dig deep into that, and we'll discuss it. But for now, man, AK, how's your week going? Tell me something interesting about your week that nobody else knows.
My boss quit, and the boss above him hired someone from the outside instead of interviewing internally.
How does that make you feel?
Oh, that's dirty.
Well, after 14 years, how would you feel? Let's just leave it at that.
That's dirty.
Because if I don't laugh about it.
Is this something that I have to hop on the plane and have some conversations for? Do I have to strap on the black Air Force Ones?
It's insulting, but at the same time, I'm not even stressing it. It is what it is. I'm just going to keep my head down, and we'll see what happens next year.
Are the Koch brothers going to have to go out there and handle it?
Rise up. Don't let CLC rise. Critical Mass.
Yes, sir.
Tell us something that happened to you this week or something interesting that nobody else knows. Share it with our community right now.
Nobody knows. Mm-hmm. I want to come up with a good story, but I don't have one.
Boring ass life.
It's a boring ass life. It really is. And I can't spin a yarn.
That's a great thing, yeah.
Absolutely nothing. Well, okay, I went to the archery range and I shot like shit the other day, and I felt bad about myself about it. But then I come in the backyard and I shoot like an ace, so I'm feeling good about that. So I don't know if that helps.
How do you need any support? Do you need a shoulder to cry on?
Maybe I need a little therapy. I need a little someone to tell me that it's not me, that it's okay, it's going to get better. And I say that to myself, but when you hear it from the outside, it really means something. It really pushes you there. Anthony, make me feel good about myself.
Hey, man. You sure to shoot a recurve or a compound bow?
Both, but mostly compound. I'm better with a compound than a recurve. Recurve takes an extra
some muscle
skill. Well, not only muscles, but it's a different animal
altogether.
That
draw. Yep. You don't have the break on the
peep sight and everything. Yeah. You could cheat with a compound boy because you got the peep sight.
Yeah.
And you got the
unless you're not sighted up, then you gotta just shoot it. But yeah, I used to like archery when I was younger and had a compound bow and all that stuff. But I remember getting the compound bow and you know, I'd went to camp when I was younger, and I'd never seen a compound bow, and the counselor had one, and I was like, "What in the hell is this thing?" You know, I know
this
the old
magical
school
stick you
recurve,
have.
yeah, and I was like, "This thing is cool as shit," you know. And so when I came back, I begged and begged. There you go.
There it is.
Yep. There it is. Look at that.
There we go.
Nice.
And hey, you know where Fox Studio is over there in Studio City by Pico. There's an archery range of that golf course across the street.
Right.
There's a free archery range in there. Anybody can go.
Nice. That's good to know. I got a buddy who shoots like English, like European longbow, but that's a whole other.
That's a different animal altogether.
Yeah. He used to work at Sideshow back in the day. He's like a history buff, but
I saw a Zen bow artist out there the other day. She had her long Zen bow, like Japanese archers.
Yep. It's cool stuff. But like I was saying, I remember getting a bow and getting a compound bow. I begged for it, and I finally got one, because they weren't cheap, and I was pretty young, a teenager and stuff, and got it. It was a nice bear, like hunting bow. But the damn thing, I couldn't pull the thing back, because if you've ever pulled back a compound bow, and I could never get to a breaking point, for years and years, and then finally getting it and knowing how to pull. I used to always pull towards my chest, so it's like this, and then finally realizing if you put your elbow up,
it's a lot easier.
Yeah, and then started shooting it, and just it was more just toying around and trying not to kill each other out in the prairies back in Colorado. We always thought it was fun to shoot it straight up in the air, and just stand.
Where is it coming? It's coming right at me.
And the whole theory was like, don't move, because it's not going to come down exactly in the same spot. So we were just like, because by the time it goes way up there and the wind shifts it and everything else, so we were dumb, young, ballsy kids, and we'd stand there and you'd see the arrow go up, and it would disappear. And then you see a glint of light because the aluminum shaft, the light would hit it and it would come down. And you're like,
you hear screams and then blood.
Yeah, you got to fall. And then, like, 10 feet away, it goes, shoom, it lands in the ground. And you're just like, woo, let's do it again.
Man.
That's like arrow rusher.
That's some dangerous.
Yeah. In theory, it worked fine. And it wasn't like we were doing it all the time.
Still here.
Yeah, I was still around. But anyway.
I don't know if they helped.
So if I was to hire somebody and it was out of Green Arrow and Hawkeye, who would you like me to hire for you to help train you?
Oh, wow.
I'd
have to flip a coin and just say heads or tails at that point, because both of them are masters.
Only one of them shot Superman and weakened him, though.
True. That's true.
I
With a kryptonite arrow.
It wasn't Hawkeye.
No, it wasn't Hawkeye.
It's more like who looks badass. You got the Arrow Flynn looking cat, and you got Hawkeye looking all.
I think I'd have to go with Green Arrow, because matter of fact, I don't have one Hawkeye book.
Hawkeye looks way cooler than Green Arrow, but Green Arrow.
I got a whole lot of Green Arrow comics. I don't have one Hawkeye comic, so Green Arrow. Call that. Right. Put that fool on.
Yeah.
Let's say what's up to the chat. Oh, go ahead, Anthony.
No, I was just going to say that's the funny thing, because that Green Arrow statue that we did years and years ago, like I was never really a fan of Green Arrow or Hawkeye, really. I mean,
me neither.
But yeah, but I mean, we did that statue. I was like, damn, this thing looks cool as hell,
Yeah.
I regret not getting that.
Yeah, that is for some reason that.
Time for a revisit.
What was that?
Could be time for a revisit.
Yeah, you could be right.
People do like Green Arrow.
That was a weird one, because there was no movie, there was nothing really backing a Green Arrow scenario. I think there was the TV show maybe, I don't know if it was around the time.
Probably.
Yeah, it was. It was still in its heyday at that time.
Yeah, and we just were like, let's do it, and it did well for us.
Yeah, they stole every Batman storyline and put it into that show. Just like, we'll give them Ra's al Ghul.
Yeah, they did.
I think at that time they weren't sure what they were doing, so they were like, well, this might be our only chance to pad it all up,
Yeah,
that was pre
Suicide Squad people in there, freaking Waller. It was crazy. But let's show some love to the people. Let's get some music on.
People.
Same as always, you know what it is. Yeah, welcome.
Little crip walk.
Yeah.
He was doing it. That's
I'm not affiliated. I'm not affiliated.
Not
I don't want
gang.
your vision and critical
Nowadays,
mass.
you don't have to. The dance is trendy. It's gone worldwide.
You got
know,
white
right?
people
I'm like,
doing
dude,
crip
I'm
walk, they don't know
ignorant.
what a
I'm
crip
somewhere
is.
in North Carolina. I didn't know that you have to be affiliated to Crip Walk. Then it's B Walk.
Oh, you're good.
Yeah.
You're good.
Ladies and gentlemen, we welcome a random Korean in the house. It is Friday in Aussie time, and he's chilling with us. That's what's up. He sees the future.
He's in the future.
Hope it's
He
bright
knows the
over
future.
there.
Ooh,
I hope it's bright
happens.
over there.
is America
We
still
got the
alive
homie
tomorrow?
Comic Galaxy down with us tonight. What up, fella collectors? He says to the people. Alan Kiefer saying happy Thursday. Welcome, Alan Kiefer. My homie Edwin Diaz in the house tonight. Welcome, Eddie D. We got the Quiet Storm himself, Dion, joining us tonight saying what's up to the Statue family. We got Storm Shadow 718 joining us from Twitch. AK in the house. Oh, that's you? I'm like, yo, we got a Twitch person in here tonight. Yo, that's crazy. It's him. We got Jesse Hernandez in the house tonight. What's up? We got the Everyday Collector in the house tonight. What up, John? We got Critical Mass doing double duty in the house tonight. Yeah, if you guys have questions, pop them out. We're going to get through them throughout the show. We're going to be answering them as usual. We got the homie Jojo Valdez in the house tonight saying what's good to Edwin Diaz. We got Comic Galaxy, of course, again. Casual Nerd Problems, a.k.a. CMP. Thank you again, CMP, for holding it down for us a couple of weeks ago. Much appreciated. We got Butterback himself, yeah, Vision, joining us tonight saying what's up to the peoples. We got Venom Tech in the house. What up, Venom Tizzle? We got Stanley. What are original statues? Oh, what I should have said was IP, but I didn't want to be all business terms. You know what I mean? It's just sort of like, a licensed statue, being that you have to acquire the license and get it from like a Disney or a Warner Brothers or something like that, or a statue that is your own creation based off lore, but something that is not tied to where you got to get a lot of approval and acquire the license and all of that stuff. We'll explain it better as we go along, and maybe Anthony can add some more insight into it. We got M-Tel in the motherfreaking house tonight. What up, M-Tel? We got Travis L. Billington in the house tonight. See, Billington. See, I didn't even have to fake a letter. I was gonna fake a letter, but a letter is right there. Travis C. Billington. That thing got freaking prestige to it. That name right there. Right.
Gravitas.
I ain't even gonna front. Gravitas. That's the word I was looking at. We got E-Man in the house saying, yo. What up, E-Man? We got Mr. Anderson in the house tonight.
Mr. Anderson.
We got Ledge, my Virgo brother, in the house tonight. Saying, how's it going, guys? COC, what up, boys? Anthony saying what's up to the people. That's what's up. All right, now let's slow this down and have a little conversation. So yeah, I was somebody who felt like, for me to purchase a statue or something, I have to have a connection to it, a feel to it, and I still think that's true. But what I realized is that I don't think it has to be based off of a license or nostalgia like I thought it did, because like there are certain statues that I see that are like remind me of something still, even though it's not that exact thing, right? Like I said, an example of that would be the Succubus. Like I played The Witcher like crazy, a huge fantasy freaking nerd, read a lot of fantasy books in my day. And succubuses were always interesting to me because they always put you in a position to where like, what if, what you know what I mean? You just, and I was just sort of like what I didn't realize was that I don't have to have a named succubus. I don't have to have it be from The Witcher. I don't have to have it be from, I just need a dope representation of that. And so that's when I first seen that, when I was the first original statue that I was like, yo, I'm pulling the trigger on that one, because it reminds me of everything that I loved about the succubus without any of the compromises. So that's another thing, that there's very little compromises for that. So Anthony, I don't know if you can speak to what are some of the risks when doing an original?
Yeah. I mean, it's funny you mention that, because you're still relating succubus to something that you're familiar with, like the video game, and and everything. Whereas when we approached succubus, it wasn't like, hey, let's do the video game, because a lot of us, are into mythology and folklore and everywhere else. And the thing is, like the various games or whatever it may be are pulling from the same thing. And the thing is succubus isn't like you said, a licensed figure, or it doesn't have it's not an intellectual property. It's something that's come throughout folklore and various games. Dungeons and Dragons used it years ago.
Oh my God.
It's Bean Folio probably, or Monster Manual, I'm sure, has a description for a succubus, but it goes way back. So, just our passion for doing that genre, that horror dark kind of genre and originality, and the whole thing behind it is, it's a female demon that seduces and uses her wilds to
feminine wild.
Yeah, exactly. Get what you want, whatever. So you have a lot of opportunity to interpret that as per that type of description. So it's like, since we're into that stuff, we're like, all right, well, what would our version of a succubus be? Is she gonna be creepy and demony? Is she gonna be there's so many interpretations that you can go with it. And I mean, you look back in other property where a lot of people that might not know the history of a succubus or ever heard of it, or only know it from video games. They start relating that stuff to video games, or related to like purgatory or Chaos Comics. Well, guess what? Where do you think they got those characters from? It's not something that they just like hot chick with devil wings. This always comes is inspired by something. So it's just funny. Sometimes you get a good read on fan base, or how much people know a history of something, by seeing how they relate to said character. Like, if their stop gate is purgatory or some deep, you go, okay, well, they're a little new to the game, so to speak. They don't know, they haven't really dug in or realized that a winged, sexy demoness has been around forever, in history and literature and everything like that. So it was a perfect subject matter for us to kind of dive into. I mean, we've done everything from Vampirella to Purgatory to, like I said, all these different characters that kind of represent the same thing. So it's like, what? We're Sideshow. Why can't we just do our own? We've done Mythos, we've done everything else. There's nothing stopping us from visiting this character and putting our own spin on it, which gave us the opportunity to kind of have fun with it. Right. Plus, like you said earlier, there's no licensors to tell you, hey man, the boobs are too big, she's wearing too less clothes. Those are all calls that we make, and we have to make within, we can't just have her butt ass naked, because we're gonna cause some type of problem. But we got to do it sexy and classy, and find that boundary to get the collectors interested. So
well, I'm glad you did it.
Yeah, I mean, it's done great for us. Even some of us, because this was, I mean, you guys met Jesse.
Shout out to Jesse.
Cool. What up, Jesse?
Jesse Lincoln.
Jesse just left the office to do his hour and a half drive home. So eventually we'll get him in on one of these podcasts. I keep telling him.
Where's he driving to? Hollywood?
No, he goes to Laverne, which, if you know where Laverne's at, that's a long.
That's the other way.
Yeah, it is the other way. So
pineapple juice in the building.
Oh no!
There we go. There we go.
Here we go.
If you know, baby.
Shane's gonna jump in the chat.
You're gonna conjure him up like a succubus.
Oh man.
Juice.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Shout out to Shane. He'll be joining us next week. Rashid will be on soon. He's got something going on, so he'll hopefully be back next week. But he
I mean, like I was saying, you know, it's doing really well for us. You know, even when we first started it, we had our, you know, Jesse was, like I said, it was his project, and we were just going back and forth and trying to figure out what do we do different? How far do we push it? It's a very fine line between sexy and creepy and demonic, and it's like it is a really weird balance that you have to do in storytelling, visual storytelling, however you want to look at it. You know, you could do the low hanging fruit and just make it boobs and butts, but you know what? To me, at the end of the day, it shows. You know, if you're just doing blatant nudity for the sake of blatant boobs and butts, you know, hey, some people are fine with it, but we also have to think, you know, some people want to display this in their house, and they're married and they got kids, and so it's like, where do we draw that line, you know? Because some people, even with this, they dig it, but they're like, man, I can't be having this out in the living room table. You know, if they got their little man cave with all their collectibles in their den or garage or whatever, then so be it. But you know, I
showed my wife this piece, and she said, "That's beautiful." You know what I mean? I was like, "Yeah, I got the right."
I like it.
Your wife is a very wise young lady.
No, she's like that. But she played like World of Warcraft and EverQuest with me back in the day. So she's like, she know what it's like, and she know it's not just a thirst piece, right?
Yeah. That was never our intent. But I mean, let's be honest. Those pieces, it's our collectible community is mainly men. I mean, and you know, they gravitate to that stuff, and that's not being outspoken or weird.
You gotta feed the people what they want.
And I want to say something about that. Hey, I want to say something about that. I'm glad you mentioned that word, thirst piece. Thirst piece. Because here's the thing. One of the most beautiful thing that's on the planet is a woman's body. The curves, the shapes, everything. Wars have been fought over women.
Yep.
I mean, and look at different sculptures from throughout history, painting.
Yeah.
It's out there, and this is nothing new. And when I hear people saying thirst pieces, I'm like, you said it a moment ago, people don't know the history.
Yeah. I mean,
people don't know the history.
You know, I've been to you know, Italy and stuff in Vatican City, and you go down there and you see the sculptures out there, and you know, if you're familiar with the marble sculptures, I mean, they're amazing and beautiful, and half of them are naked.
Yes.
You know, not even partially naked. They're naked.
Full on.
Yeah, because there's nobody flipping out over there, and you're in Vatican City, you know, you know, the head of the Catholic Church and everything, and Pope and everything out there. It's just
that's why
way it's perceived, and you know,
I was really surprised with this piece too, because it was because we weren't getting a lot of and people are really quick to like sort of say it's because like it's a thirsty thing or whatever. No, it's just sort of like art is eclectic, right? And it's just more of like once you start limiting what you could do, it's just everything starts being very standard and the same.
And then you get repetition.
Yeah, exactly.
And then who wants that? And then it makes it boring, you know. And the thing is, you know, I mean, basically you said it right there. It's just like, you know, if you're doing an original piece, you want to be able to flex your creativity and you know, it's art at the end of the day. If somebody wants to see it some other way, I mean, it could be, you know, forget the risque-ness or whatever you want to say. You know, some people see it on a whole other level, and it's like, well, it's demonic, you know.
Oh yeah, my boy Fader. Shout out to Fader the Collector.
Yeah,
you know what I mean. You know what I mean? But that's. But
and you know, I've heard him say he respected it for the art.
Exactly.
He's just not comfortable with the subject matter or whatever, you know, and that's all good, right? You know,
and you'll have 50 other statues that like you literally a whole other freaking line of statues that he will purchase, right? And so what's cool about this is that the representative statues are a little more represented with this piece, which is dope.
Yeah.
So we're gonna go to some questions. Well, we got the Everyday Collector saying, "Happy Wednesday, everyone." Anthony, I really like the direction Sideshow was going with their original line. Stunning work.
Thank you. Yep.
The question he has is, I have a question in regards to the variants. Right. Batman, Rex, and now Succubus. Is this going to be an ongoing process with future releases? And if so, will they be offered day one or afterwards?
So that's a good question, and I see it pop up all the time, you know, and I get it. I understand it from different, as a collector myself, you know. I understand where everybody comes from, and we were just talking about this yesterday, you know, amongst, you know, the team, and discussing, you know, because they knew I was coming on and what we would be kind of talking about. I was like, well, what if this comes up? But the thing is you know, when we see an opportunity like with this, it's almost like this piece, you're crazy if you don't do a variant, meaning you know, a red version. It's like this, it goes hand in hand with it, you know. So it almost gets, so it's like it's a very obvious choice. Now then it turns into a marketing thing. It's like, well, which is, you know, kind of out of my wheelhouse, which I've said before, is like, you know, how do we market something? Do we release them at the same time? Do we stagger them? And then that turns into a development thing, because it's like, okay, so do we take a factory time, you know, at the same time, and like have a factory painting a white version and a red version at the same time? It usually doesn't work like that. You know, you got to get a run through, and then you got to get another run through. You can do them simultaneously, but you know, like we'll do the run and then finish that run and do the next. But then you got to figure out how do you get them out. But I mean, if we have one out, you know, we want to get it out, you know, to keep with the schedule, and then the next one could fall in. But the good thing is like, and I know there was maybe a little bit of a hiccup at the beginning when we released the variant red of this. I think some people may have contacted us and wanted to swap it because they're like, man, I want the red one. I don't want the white one, but I ordered the white one.
Yeah,
that's not a problem. I mean, you could contact customer service and go, you know what? I see you guys released a variant of this. I want to swap my order, and they can contact and swap it out. That no problem. But back to the original question is that if we see opportunity there just to give the customer another version, you know, especially if it's, sometimes we see customers or you know, collectors, shall I say, going, I wish they would have done this. I wish they would have done this. I would have bought it for this. And we kind of evaluate it and we go, are we missing an opportunity here? And not necessarily a money-making opportunity, because there's times where we've taken the plunge and said, you know what? The people are saying they want this. Let's jump in and let's see if we can make it happen within, you know, if we have the bandwidth at the factory or on scheduling or everything, and go for it. Sometimes we just can't do it. You know, there's no way, it'll never happen. But variants will always be part of our plan if we can fit them in, and if there's an opportunity to do a variant that is worth, you know, the blood, sweat, and tears to go and bandwidth to do. Because if it doesn't look like, you know, we're like, hey, let's make her have longhorns, or let's make her have closed wing. You know, if it doesn't really justify something that's going to be impactful, we'll just be like, you know, it is what it is, you know, scenario. So.
Yeah, no, because I know that's been. I appreciate you addressing it, because I know that's been
and there's going to be time, and there's going to be times where, you know, there's a piece that comes out and sells out, and years later we're like, man, there's people that missed out, really wanted this, but let's re-release it. But, you know, maybe shortchange the head or alter the size or whatever it may be, something that keeps it from not being the exact same piece, so collectors aren't like
the original.
Hey man,
that's still the one.
Yeah, somebody got the exact same thing I got, where I thought I had a special one, and you know, the only thing is that creates people go like, wow, I got the little one. Now this guy has the big one. You know, and it's like, you know, that's his business. You know, if that's the case and you want it that bad, I hope you buy the big one, because that keeps me employed, because then it's like, you know, all right, I got a job here still, you know, and people are buying there's enough interest where people are going to buy a variant. So
hey, Anthony, I'm going to do my best to keep you employed, brother.
good.
I'm going to do my best.
I like to hear.
I ordered both of them.
I heard that. I seen you on one of the shows earlier in the week. I caught a part of it, and you're like, "Man, I got both of them." I was like, "All right." I chimed in actually. I got from work and I chimed in.
I'm in the street with tambourines doing sideshows.
Right.
Sideshows.
Right, I was like,
I'm a one-man band.
That's right. I was like, oh, you get the T-shirt. I pulled the T-shirt from RASHEEEEEEED, and I was like, you get the T-shirt.
No, like,
hey, we ain't that far. You're only 50 miles away from me.
Yeah.
I think variance is it's more of a like as providing the customer the most information they can have at point of purchase. I think that's just where it gets a little twisted. It's sort of like,
and that's
you're right. Yeah. If I know like there's a red one and a white one as early as possible, then that allows me to be like, because I'm never going to be a person that's like don't want options. Like like me and Anthony was talking about, he likes the red one, I like the original one. Like that's potentially it's not us. Yeah, it's cool for Sideshow because they get both the sale from two different people who like two different things, but it's also providing me with something that I would probably not pull the trigger on the red one, right? Because it looks too demon for me, but he likes it that it looks more demon for him. So that's just choice.
It has nothing to do with the demon. It's just the red pops a lot.
The red pops for you.
And that's the thing, you know, there's everybody doesn't like the same thing. I mean, let's go to the, let's use the Hulks for an example. There's one where we came out with 4 that were variants off of basically the same sculpt. The only difference was the paint and the portraits. There was some rip in the shirt and one didn't have shirt, but once again, it's one of those damned if you do, damned if you don't, because we came out with all 4 of those.
I remember, Talk that shit, Anthony. Talk that shit, Anthony.
And Anthony.
A lot of complaining about people saying it was cash grab and this, that, and the other, and it's like, come on, guys.
It's a double-edged sword.
Hey, and Anthony, as you were saying, like, you got people that'll probably buy one or multiple. You got one brother, Fatal. He's getting all 4 of them.
Oh yeah. Shout out to Fatal.
He's happy they came out like that.
Hey, and he's the type of customer we love. And this isn't where we're trying to like. Nobody's forcing anybody to buy 4 of them.
No,
you know what I mean? No. That's a lot of money to be dropping. So you gotta be a fan to get that, So
tell him, Jesse.
Yep, there you go.
They do.
It is a tricky thing. I was talking. I don't know if I was talking to some of the guys, and we were talking about just variants in the toy industry back in the 90s and 80s and stuff, and variants back then they were unintentional variants. Variants were populated by like screw ups in the factory, or there could have been some change somewhere where they did a running change, and you go to Toys R Us or somewhere and you find a figure that was painted a certain way, and next thing you know, your buddy has one that doesn't look anything like that, and you're like, where the hell did you get that? And I got it at this, that, and the other. And there was no internet. It was all the toy magazines, and then also the toy magazines get hold of it. Well, shit, by the time anything goes to anything that goes to publication, that stuff's already been out on the racks and is disappearing. So then it turned into more of the thrill of the hunt for those types of variants. You know what I mean? And I think there's a little bit of that in the market, in the collect. It's like the thrill of, there are certain, collectors that like to have it all just to have it all, or, or say they have one that was a lower edition size. There's all kinds of facets to the collecting game and variants and what it may be. So
yeah, man, like I said, I think it all comes down to I know a lot of collectors that hate me. Like I was trying to find that there was a San Diego Comic-Con version of Anakin, Dark Side Anakin, right? I almost spent a crazy amount of money for that hot toy on eBay, right? I was like, I would go hover. I'm like, I'm collecting all of the Sith, so I'm like,
you just get possessed.
I know, and I'm just like, that's the one I need, and I'm like, that's the one, and I'm like, and then I'm like, yo, I wish they would re-release this shit. I don't give a fuck. Like, but then there's collectors that, and I respect them too. They're like, it's special to me because hey, it's special to you, but I would have to spend a ridiculous amount of money to buy it off you on eBay or just get it at normal price.
Yeah. And it goes, like I said, it's not just the stuff that we collect, but I mean, everybody that, people that collect rare cars or anything that in a collect, it's like, man, I got this Ferrari that, you don't have because they only released this many, but they had the ability, nobody's telling them that they're releasing some other Ferrari that has, a bigger engine or only turquoise paint or something, some weird thing, and they're like, man, do you see that dude that had the, this weird blue Porsche that nobody ever seen before? And it's like, man, I got it, and you guys just, whatever it is,
but another thing similar, I guess, when you're talking about coming out with variants or doing things, like every few years, you guys will do a Red Sonja, and I didn't get the first one. I got the She Devil with a sword, and then they had another one in between. I forget what one was named. I didn't get that one, but I got this one right here behind.
Oh yeah, the new one. Yep.
Yeah, the new one, and the red really pops.
Yeah, yep. That was Jesse's product. That thing came out great.
Okay,
that one came out. Matter
Thank
of
you,
fact,
Jesse.
Yeah, Steve Lord sculpted that one. Steve Lord sculpted the succubus as well. They're the same guy. Steve Lord does a great job. Plus, I think I'm almost positive. Yeah, he did the other Red Sonja, the one where she's just kind of chilling.
She got the fur on.
Big fur. Yeah, I even have that one. That one I love. I mean, I
started to get that one, but I said, maybe we ought to just hold on. And I was just really happy with the She Devil with the sword.
And they're almost like two different pieces because that one is so dynamic. They are. Where the other one is just chill and she looks a little bit more realistic, where this one is a little more stylized, comic booky,
Yeah.
And I like that you guys do your second versions of characters different. You guys actively try and make sure that they're not very similar statues if you guys did them in the past. How about financially when you're taking a risk or a chance on an original IP, right? Because you don't have the nostalgia to bank on. Like what is that? Those conversations like? How do you guys get to a green light?
I think a lot of that isn't. I mean, that's always a risk with originals. The thing is because of everyone from the creative director, Tom Gillen, myself, and Jesse, and a lot of people that have been here throughout the years and are collectors and got our hands dirty early on. We're all fans of original art. Like I think I could speak for all of them that we're more fans of originality and art and creativity than license type stuff, because as an artist you're handcuffed by that, so if you are a painter or nobody wants to be like, you got to paint something like this, you got to sculpt something like this. You want to be like, man, I got this great idea for whatever it may be, and be able to spread your wings and have creative freedom. So anyway, back to your question, it's like, well, we want to do this, we want to do that, and I think from the risk end of it is, first and foremost, we don't have to pay a licensor. We don't have to. The licensor isn't taking a cut, because that's the name of the game. When you have a licensed piece, you have to pay for the license. You're at the bay of the licensor, telling you what it could do and what you can't do, and they take a cut off of sales. So, but before you know it, you better hope everybody likes that Batman or that Joker or whatever it may be, because it's not like Sideshow's pocketing a grip of money. You got to pay everybody. You got to pay everybody out. And so for original, you're not paying anybody. You're basically you're rolling with your decision. You know, if it doesn't sell, that's on Sideshow. You know, that's on us. You know, and just going, well, I guess nobody liked. I guess nobody wasn't into the stuff we're into. You know, and that's just that's the roll of the dice, and that's kind of like, you know, you brought up the latest Court of the Dead
piece. Yeah,
it's like, you know, that's our own IP. So
I was gonna get it, before we go into the Court of the Dead, because I definitely want to dig into that though. But like when I first seen the Succubus, it was they doing everything right. It seems like it's an original, so no license. Are these savings going to be passed to the consumer? And it wasn't a $800 or $900 piece. You know, they came in. I estimated what I wanted the price to be in the video, and it was spot on, right? So I was like, yo, and so it's like, so that's what I appreciate too with originals. It's sort of like I said, I love the ghostwriter you guys put out, but it's in the $1,000 range now, right? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so it's sort of like, I was like, the piece is fantastic. It's from nothing to do with the artistic nature of it.
Right.
It's just more of like, if that could have came in like under the 1,000 just for that 1,000 shock. It's still doing. I'm pretty sure it's still doing well. Especially it's doing well. Great. So don't take my advice. But
no. I mean, internally, you know, I don't set the price. Development doesn't set the price. You know, there's a lot of talk, but even, you know, some of us were a little like, oof. But we know what goes into it, and that's kind of what. And I think a lot of times people equate size to price.
When that's usually not.
And that's not necessarily the thing, you know. It's like, if you got a sculpt,
how many pounds of
you got weight, you do have size, but you got weight. But the thing also is like, there's to get it's how much time do you put into design, how much effort, how much skill and effort and time is it going to take a sculptor to get that thing done. You know, whenever we work with, you know, we have our inside sculptors, but we also have outside vendors that we use that are you know, guns for hire pretty much. So if we have a project, we have to get a quote and go like, all right, here's the project. What are you looking at quoting for this? And we have to make a call on like, is this going to work or is this not going to work? Yeah. And those quotes come from when they look over the sculpt and go, all right, is it a chick that's half naked and with wings and whatever, or is it, you know, flying chains and leather texture and flames and a motorcycle and you know, brick flying around and little tiny spikes, and because all that stuff has to be made, you know, it has to be considered, and you know, 2 different heads and lights and all that fun stuff, you know, and you know, then we have to figure out, you know, because of the dynamics or because of whatever it may be, if it's real spindly or a lot of parts, that stuff's going to break. And guess what? In production, when they're making those things aren't like, oh, we made 1, it's perfect. We made 2, that one's perfect. We made 3, that one's perfect. They're like, man, we got bubbles in the flame. We got bubbles, whatever. You know, there's issues in just production. So now you have a scrap rate. All right, well, what's that scrap rate? You know,
and that cuts into the budget, the schedule, the time, all that,
the money, and all that. You know, if the factory is going, our scrap rate on trying to make this crazy flame job or crazy paint, you know, that's why you don't see chrome plating on stuff. You know, when everybody's like, man, I can't believe nobody's chroming up these Silver Surfers. And it's like
Silver Surfer is silver. He's not the chrome surfer. That's a whole nother. That's a whole nother topic.
You say the chrome for your 6'4" Impala.
Yeah, exactly. You know, so it's like, but I mean, these are things that people don't realize. They just want to take it at face value and go like, man, how is this piece this price and this piece is this price? It doesn't make sense. And it's like, we're trying our best to make it make sense. There are some weird things that are causing, you know, like when you obviously see it and you go, man, that's a bunch of bullshit. I don't know how that equates to the same thing. And it's like, wow, I can lay it out for you. I shouldn't have to, but you know, and we're not in the, I mean, it's good that we have these forums now where I could kind of go in there and
give context,
enlighten a little bit, but yeah, And so when we do have the ability to keep the price down, like on originals, okay, we don't have to pay a license, or we want to pass it along. Now, if we had some original piece that was like really bonkers and crazy, and we know that it's difficult to get into the factory and use different techniques or expensive techniques, if we're having to like manufacture 3D parts in factory or whatever it may be, of course the price has to go up, or else we would never make any money on the thing, and we'd just be producing something for somebody to have, and there's no payoff anywhere on our our end or whatever. So
no animatronic statues then.
No, but it's funny, we had plans years ago to animate an endo skull, way before anybody was doing that, and we had it all laid out. We had the guys, but it's like once you start pricing it out, even though you can get some parts in Asia that were already on the market, and servos and stuff, the numbers didn't match up, because you knew that even if you're able to get it through the factory, excuse me, even if you're able to get it through the factory, one sec.
Drink that water. See, if you was drinking pineapple juice, you would be
no way, man. I'd been out. I would have checked out. Even if you get it through the factory, you get a lot. If like say, and I think we talked about this in previous ones, these silicone heads and all these things that are kind of the new gimmicky thing, these big pieces. If you pay that much money for one of those big pieces and something's not right, how are you going to fix that? You're not going to fix, and you have to have stock of like replacement. How are you going to replace a big giant silicone head without eating it on the whole thing? There's that's like when
that's why they're $3,000 and $4,000.
Yeah, when you get damaged pieces, like, a lot of times when we work on things, and I don't want to go down the rabbit hole too much and off topic, but it's like we actually think about like, all right, we need to make this part separate. Like when you see like little, say like for example, if you see a piece of rebar sticking out of a base, that rubble or whatever, and you usually see it like color coded, and it's like a little teeny piece, and it's all dink, and it goes. You put the piece here, it's like, why in the hell is this little tiny piece separate? Well, if that piece was connected and it broke on a base,
the whole base needs to go back.
Exactly, we got to replace the
I know
whole
that because
base.
my sound wave had that issue. Like it was just the little rebar that stuck out.
Yeah.
Yep. And then I had to send the whole base back. And
a lot of times it's like, we're sorry, not meaning us, but whoever it may be, you don't have a big old base to send you. You just got a broken ass little part on your piece.
Yeah, because I'm one of those collectors that if it comes, I want to be the one to break it. It has to arrive here in perfect, and I can live if I scuff it or whatever like that, because I'm very careful with it. But when it arrives and it's already, I'm just like,
I hear you. Well, the thing with me is like, if I ever get anything like that, I'm the opposite way, kind of, because I'm like, I could fix this.
You could fix it.
Yeah,
my non-talented ass ain't fixing it.
Like,
you probably got the materials laying around.
Yeah, I'll go in the next room and
you're like, I just need some 2-pound 7/8 glue with some paint 753.
There's a lot of that stuff isn't hard to fix, but no, nobody wants to do that. And of course, people say, if they get it broke, they're like, man, I paid this much money, I shouldn't have to fix it.
Yeah.
Type deal. But shit happens.
But there's nothing like you unboxing a statue and everything's perfect and you look at it, because it's the same with music. Like if it's all an emotional state, the same when you view on your art, like whatever headspace you're in at the time. So like, if it has a little scratch on it, it's gonna alter your mood. You're gonna look at it different, right? So it's just
blemished. It's done.
Yeah, it's a blemish. There's some people that
can't look at it anymore.
I keep looking at fix it.
I keep looking at that.
Two very important questions that we need to get to. First one is, will you have 1/3 scales of these Sideshow original ladies in the future? We want some, saying Cypher. What's the deal with Sideshow and 1/3 anyway? Why aren't you guys purposely, carry Prime 1 and let other people bring in the 1/3 into the Sideshow store.
It's pretty easy. We don't have a 1/3 license to do.
There it is.
You know,
see, it's a simple, quick answer. That it's like, yo,
so do we?
you know how many
there you
conversations like, how come they don't just do 1/3?
No, you gotta. The thing is, you gotta like if it's DC, Marvel, whomever.
Yeah.
Hey, we want the 1/3 license.
But your original ladies, they're original.
Originals, that's a whole different thing. We can do whatever.
But
the thing is do we do 1/3 and hope that somebody's gonna? That's an investment now.
Yeah.
Because it's like, all right, let's do a big old 1/3 piece, and it's like, well, guess what? 5 people wanted a giant naked lady. It's like,
and Critical Mass was all 5 of those people.
Yeah, I'm like,
who would buy a giant naked lady?
There you go. Yep.
What are you talking about?
There you go.
Who in their right mind would buy a giant naked lady?
He just likes it because that thing looks like Rihanna. That's why he has it.
Pregnant Rihanna too. No, I'm just kidding.
I told my buddy Mark Newman sculpted that for PCS. I think that's what
oh, really, Mark?
Yeah,
Shout out to Mark Newman.
I told Mark, I go, hey man, I seen that Deja Thoris. I go, what'd you use for reference on that? I go, because that thing looks just like Rihanna. And he's like, well, I didn't. He claims he didn't. And I'm like, I don't know. Let me send you some pictures of her face and stuff, and then see what And I'm
you got a Rihanna in bondage, Critical Mass. That changes. I think I'm gonna order it now. No, I'm just kidding.
I think that's how it came. She was all tied up like that.
But this is even a bigger question. Anthony, Bone Thugs or WuTang? And there's only one right answer to this.
This is the new pineapple pizza thing.
That's easy. It's WuTang. I mean, I listened to some Bone Thugs back in the day, but that was a little gimmicky back in the day for me.
Everybody dabbled in a little Bone Thugs here and there, but like WuTang,
WuTang
was for the culture.
Yep, I still listen.
Everyone.
Yo, and when you mention WuTang 3 times, brother Rashid enters the building. Shout out to Darth, Rashid.
I see what's happening.
Yo, you see Gem Man in the chat, Rashid?
That boy don't know. He don't know no hip hop.
That dude's still talking that Bone Thugs stuff.
I caught that clip where a little bit of it where Gem Man was on there talking about Bone Thugs and trying to justify it. And him and we don't know each other. I mean, whatever. But I was just watching it from afar, and I was like,
That I like that he's standing on it. I appreciate that he has a difference of opinion.
Yeah, but you don't stand on something when that shit ain't even true.
But you can't make when you try to make it facts, like it's an undeniable.
You're trying to change the narrative, create your own narrative.
And
plus, there it is.
And plus, WuTang Clan had a situation where they was in Vegas. It's like what's her name? The singer with all of them. It was Usher, whatever. Once you big,
it was Celine Dion and all them had residency in Vegas.
Residency, yep, that's it.
I don't remember Bone Thugs getting that type of love. You know what I'm saying?
No,
it was busy.
Remember when they were doing during COVID and they were doing all that versus stuff?
Yeah, the verses.
That Bone Thugs one, they were a wreck. Nobody wanted. They're fighting on the stage. They couldn't rap.
No, WuTang can still perform. Like you can put them on the stage.
Jim Mack going to say they started to sing. If he knew hip hop, every rapper was grabbing females first to do the singing. And then the West Coast started doing their own hooks and they singing with Nate Dogg and everything else.
Oh, you had Mary J. Blige singing with Method Man and
right. So
I'll be there for you. If you keep it real with me, I keep it real with you.
Right. You're a little younger than me, Jim Mint. So stick with the Omni.
Yo, Jim Mint, we gotta get you back on, and we just gotta have the debate. It's just gotta be the debate. We gotta settle it.
There's only
the hip hop debate.
Two Bone Thugs songs that anybody ever listens to.
If you take it there, if you really think about it, Slick Rick used to sing on his songs. On his songs. Exactly. Yeah. So you gotta know your hip hop.
Yeah, there's all kinds. There are people singing.
I like how Jem threw the grenade and he just threw it out. He just threw it out there.
Like I'm out.
Threw a grenade in the room and closed the door.
Yeah. All right, so there was we could go to the Court of the Dead line now and maybe give us a little history on this line and how it came about. And its resurgence now, because it seems like you guys took a break from it for a bit and then came back super strong with this. Shout out to Rodney for DCX and Tone over at the BBC, who like was in love with this line. To me, it's a line that it was one of those where I don't know where that's from. It looks cool, but I don't know where it's from. What is it from? Is there anything? And you guys tried to do some media with it.
Oh yeah, I mean,
and all the good stuff.
I don't know. People love this thing. We did a lot of stuff. So so Court of the Dead comes from. This is once again Tom Gilliland, who's our creative director. Been with the company for 20, pretty much its entirety of 30 years. He started as a painter and worked his way up and is now one of the big wigs. But anyway, he's big into gaming and worked into, and when I say gaming, I mean he's into video games. And
okay. Gaming means one thing in my
I know. That's why I had to back up. He's older than I am.
Okay.
But he was into, like D&D role playing.
D&D, like straight up, yeah.
And Games Workshop and all that, and he's still into it, but his
shout out to Space Marine too.
Yep, his thing is he's very into military games and historical reenacting and historical games, but he also plays a whole bunch of video games too. He's all over the place. So he has a very creative mind and has a lot of really cool ideas and everything. So Court of the Dead was something that he was always working on and wanted to see to come to fruition for forever. And with him being where he's at within the company, he finally had the opportunity to start fleshing, no pun intended, because they all have factions, and one of the factions is Flesh Faction, and so it's the storyline is very gaming kind of inspired and oriented. So there's
we're getting some feedback from you, Rashid. We're getting some, I think it's because it. I don't know. See, now we're not getting it.
Okay. So that was kind of his thing. So he had always been working on this in his head, and he finally had the opportunity to just go, all right, at some point you have to go, I'm doing it. I'm going to do it. So he went with it with, all in. So we have novels and we had top, fantasy artists doing stuff. And there's a whole storyline. I'm not even familiar with the whole storyline. It's pretty vast. And that's where these characters came from. It was, we had the ability not only, to create the story, but we, what better than to, be a statue company to be able to do statues of these characters that are within the IP and the story and the mythos of the storyline. So that's where that was the fruition or the inception of this whole thing. And we have a huge line. I don't know how many pieces, but I mean, at some point it was like, all right, let's, we were going steady and then we went all out and we're releasing a whole bunch of stuff. And it's like, let's tone it back a bit. Let's, let's chill and, and let the fans kind of relax and see where it goes, see if it still has legs. And, the thing is people, we did see, throughout the years that we did, I forget how long it's been going on. When we stopped doing it, there was obviously a fan base that was like, where's Court of the Dead? We want Court of the Dead, and those are the people that like that original, because to them it is original, and it is original, but we had the story that went with it. We had the game. There was a board game. There was all kinds of stuff.
But there wasn't a video game yet, though, right?
We were working on one, and we attempted to do one that they were going to try to do, but it was like, I think they were trying to do a little bit too much at one time. So it was like we only had the bandwidth to do so much.
The reason I asked that is because when I first seen this character, I was like, yo, I would love to design her kit. Like she would look so much fun to be able to design her kit, meaning like her skill set, her abilities, her combat. Like she looks like something just right. You could put this, somebody could say this character, name the game. It could be Court of the Dead. See this? They can never heard of Court of the Dead, but it looks so interesting that I would want to play this game. You know what I mean? Yeah. Like she looks amazing.
Yeah, I mean there was talk about us, doing that. I mean, there was talk even of doing an animated series, you know, something, you know, an animated show with, you know, possibly Netflix or somebody. There's always been stuff that's been in the works, but I mean, once again, it's where do you focus on? There's so much, you know, and there's Star Wars and, you know, everything else, and Marvel and DC and everything. So we, you know, so with all that said and done, this is coming. We're bringing Court of the Dead. I'm not saying we're bringing it back because it never went anywhere. It just kind of was shelved for a bit. And this is the first piece that we're coming back with. And the funny thing is, we had this thing. I mean, this was a project I worked on, and we had this thing sculpted years ago, and it had just been sitting around, and until they found the right time to get it into the market and kind of get ready to do Court of the Dead again. So we have currently we have 2 other Court of the Dead pieces that have already been sculpted that are really really awesome. That
Anthony,
went out.
You'll also be happy to know I'm keeping you further employed because
you got this dude's number, right? All you need to do is just skinless.
That's perfect. That's perfect.
Well, Anthony,
I pre-ordered this day 1.
Nice, much
this
appreciated.
Right here will be because of the XM line. This was going to be my Talia al Ghul, I guess. You know?
There you go.
You
Yeah.
know?
Yeah, fantasy. You could. It's your piece. Yeah. You could do whatever you want, Rasheed.
Yeah.
But that's the thing. This is what we mean about, goes back to the original license, is that you can do something that looks like this on your own terms without the iteration process being so long, because you got to check in and check in and check in. Because like Talia al Ghul, this will be a sexy Talia al Ghul, but you probably ain't gonna get this as Talia al Ghul. You know what I mean?
Right. We're not gonna do one. We're not gonna be like, that's too risky, and even the licensor probably be like, "What? You guys are crazy."
No.
Yeah,
and this is what I mean by the original. Like, I'm really starting to appreciate the original stuff, because that's where I feel like I can get some of the stuff that is missing from the traditional. There's always going to be room for license. You know, you're always going to have your bombastic comic book character. Those aren't going nowhere. But you also, it's like music. You can't listen to the same song over and over and over again.
Yeah, I start digging through the crates and looking through, like I'm like, man, I need to find some new stuff. Even if you don't like a majority of the new stuff, but every once in a while you start going down and you're like, man, I never even heard of this. This is awesome, or whatever.
Yeah. No, that's what's up.
It's kind of the same thing. But I mean, and then you have our mythos stuff, which is almost like it's like a cross of originality with a licensed line, because we want to bring some original stuff to like, say, Star Wars, and now with DC, to where it might not be in any of the comic books. It could be. Or it might fit in a gap that was never said but implied. That's why we have like Obi-Wan, where it's like you've never seen him on screen or wherever in that time period where he's roaming the desert and everything else. But he did it.
He did
what would
it.
that look like, and that's a tough one to get to do, because you still need to get the Lucas, Disney to go, all right, because they're tight with that property. They're not, you have no idea how many awesome ideas that we had and concept sketches for mythos Star Wars characters that were like, if we did these and people seen them, they'd freak out. And Lucas and them were like, nope, you ain't doing that, you ain't doing this, you ain't doing that, and we're just like, so it's
not going to happen.
Yeah. And DC, they now that with the DC stuff, we have our DC mythos stuff that we're going to start showing, which we've shown some sketches, and I hope, of course, you're gonna have the diehard guys that are gonna go, what Aquaman is that? It's like, obviously it ain't the one you want, so get the rate. There's plenty of other options, but this is one where we're trying to bring some creativity and some of our own fingerprint to an existing license that we hope that people will be into. I know I dig the Aquaman. I've said it before, I'm not a huge comic book guy, My thing is original stuff. You know, it's always been that way. And when I see when we do with the original stuff, I get excited, you know, and I'm like, well, I hope some people are into this, you know.
Yeah, no, I was not expecting to, because I've seen some. I don't know if you heard of I know XM does a line where it's called the Horsemen. I meant the 4 Horsemen of Apocalypse.
Oh yeah.
It's original, and stuff like that. But I was like, I didn't feel like I had the connection there, and I think partially was the price was so huge there.
Those are big pieces.
They're big and beautiful pieces, right?
Yeah, I know the sculptor behind that, but he's worked for us. He's done stuff for us.
Oh, really? Yeah. Great work, beautiful work. But I always thought it was like, what I love about these are like, once the price reaches a certain point, like that's where you start wrestling with the originality of like, because your nostalgia is going to be the thing that pushes you over.
Right.
But if the price point is at a place where it's like, it's original, it's beautiful, you have some connection to it, even though it's not as strong as the nostalgia, you got some.
Yeah,
and the price is right. I think that's the recipe to pull the like grab a Court of the Dead or a Succubus or a Lust, and I think that's the barrier right there, because I think go ahead.
No, go ahead.
No, it was just to close out the point was, I just think there's it's not just one thing. Like it's a combination of things that work, that allow it, because you can easily say, oh, people don't want originals, but your original was $2,000. You know what I mean? So then that'll make people feel like I'm not taking a chance on originals anymore. Right. You put out a $600, $650 original, and it's beautiful, and it sells. It's like, that's the combination of things, right? Or you can make it cheap, and if the original is not good, it don't matter how cheap the price is, it ain't gonna move. So all of those things I feel need to work, and I think that's what's coming together with this new original line.
Yeah,
you guys got.
It's tricky. I mean, you know, a lot of the original stuff it's almost like, I don't want to say the original stuff isn't for collectors of, you know, because let's be honest, everybody here, they're comic book stuff, you know, or Star Wars, or, you know, it's the IPs that are out there. I mean, it's a very narrow field, you know, some gaming, you know, video game stuff. But there's people that don't collect any of this stuff, but they are statue collectors, or they are model kit collectors, or whatever it may be. You know, there's a company called Mestas. They do stuff from China and Japan, and we distribute some of their stuff. But it's all original stuff. That's all they make, and there's some expensive pieces in there, and that's kind of like the stuff that I'm into. But there's some pieces in there that I want really bad, and I'm just like, ooh, that's expensive, you know, because now they're almost looked at as more of like fine art. But the thing is and they should be, because some of the stuff is so well done and creative and just artistic. But the thing is it's such a weird subject matter. Like if it's fantasy, or, you know, Japanese onis or whatever it may be, the general public won't see that as fine art. They still see it as like pop art, or what is that toy or whatever. But when you're really
ain't got no culture.
Yeah, exactly. When you're really into it, you know who the sculptor is. You know, you can look at it and go, I know who sculpted that, because you're so finely tuned to some of these things, and that just goes to show you're, you know, hardcore or passionate or whatever it may be. And you know, I'm that way with some of the stuff that I collect. I know if it's, you know, which sculptor out of Japan sculpted that or whatever. But it just, there's so many avenues and facets to go down on the original.
I have a weird relationship with like the concept of the sculptor and knowing, because I'm the type of person where when I buy the piece because it's beautiful and I love it, and then I'll shower the appreciation and love to the artist or whatever like that, because I'm like, yo, they made something that I already love.
Right.
But and also sometimes it's just sort of like, but if a piece is bad or whatever, or it's just not bad, it just doesn't appeal to me or whatever like that. Like, it's not like I'm going to go seek out the artist or buy it because of a artist, but I appreciate the heck of it out of it when it's something that is that selfish. It's a weird thing,
because
right?
I think,
because it's like,
No, because I think, and maybe it's just because I'm behind the scenes and work with all these various artists. Like I said, prior to that, it used to be, and I'd still buy them, are model kits. And they're like, think of it as like original pieces. Nobody's telling that artist what to do. They're bringing their own ideas and everything. So, and then I become a fan of I know how they sculpt, and I know I know everything of how I can look at it and pick it out. When we look at like these like statues like we do, and all and the companies, you might be into a sculptor, but just she might do a piece and you're like, man, I ain't digging that. That's not that sculptors. If you look past it, you go, I know that sculptor because I know how he sculpts hair or faces or dynamics or everything else. At the end of the day, it might be something that doesn't resonate with you, but it's not because of that sculptor. It's because it's a job for hire, and you had 10 other people telling them what to do, and then not liking this and not liking that, and he or she are forced into doing something that would never be a trademark of their actual sculpting ability.
That's why I could only be honest, even to like the sculptors, to their face, because I appreciate all of the hard work that went into it. But there's a lot of times you're honest about a certain piece, and they'd be like, I agree. I agree.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't like that either.
Yeah. A lot of people get it confused and think that if you know a sculptor, that you have to kiss their ass or do all of this, when it's the opposite. When you know somebody and they know it's coming from a place of non-malice and a place of like truth, they just like, they respect the hell out. You can have that conversation and be like, here's why it came out like this, or I get it is not for you, and you could just keep it going. And
that's part. I mean, I deal with that every day. As a project manager, it's like if I'm managing Daniel Bell or Martin or Steve Lord or Will or anybody. I gotta get in there and give feedback from other people or myself, and it's no bust on their abilities. It's more like, hey, we need to tweak this or do this or change this because of whatever reason. And they might not be on board. They might be like, man, I don't agree. But guess what? 5 other people said it needs to change, and I'm sorry, that's got to change. And
you don't like that thing? Yeah. I don't need the Anthony.
I'm not down with it either. But this is what you get, But it's just part of the process, and that's the name of the game. So
Cypher asks, you don't need a license for Sideshow Originals, right?
No, so I mean, just to kind of talk about it is, so Sideshow original, if it's an original thing, the broadest sense is that we're not making something that already exists, meaning a licensed property that exists. So it's not an Obi-Wan Kenobi, it's not a Batman, because that's intellectual property. Somebody made that. Somebody owns that, and it's Marvel or DC or Lucas, or it could even be a small company. It could be, if it's video games, there's any one of the video game companies that's their property. They came up with that. So we can't just go out there and go, hey, let's make this and make a bunch of money off of it. They're like, no. You got to pay.
I had to turn Sideshow down so much. They tried to get the rights for CriPPleR just to create a statue of me. I'm like, no. So
I remember that.
You're like, I will not be compromised.
I was like, man,
all right, I got a question.
Do a CriPPleR statue.
CriPPleR, I got a question.
Anthony. Get in there, Anthony.
No, my only question is, what about characters that are in the public domain? Would that still constitute
Could you make a Snow
original,
White or like one of those Disney things?
How does that work?
Yeah, unless you're putting a different twist on it, it would just be a public domain thing, and that's always a shaky thing because it's always
That's a good question.
Public domain is weird because there was always Disney was one of the ones that always kept kind of, if you follow all that stuff, it was like they were always keeping Mickey Mouse. They didn't want to cut loose of any of that. And
like Jungle Book.
I forget the time period of when something is supposed to go public domain, like 100 years or whatever it may be.
Like Winnie the Pooh.
Yeah, but there were certain things where it was like people that own that, they're like, it's there was talk between, is it a trademark or is it a copyright? Like there's all these weird, and recently there was a thing where the original Mickey Mouse, the black and white.
Steamboat
Willie, thank you.
Steamboat Willie.
All of a sudden they're like, man, because of some court deal saying, nope, you guys got to cut loose, and everybody decided like, we're gonna do our own thing. So you've seen goofy ass B movie horror movies with Steamboat Willie mask killing people, and Winnie the Pooh. There was that horror movie Winnie the Pooh. And they were doing these movies quick, and it's like, you know, it was still a gray area, because when I was looking into and reading some stuff, they were like, well, these people are doing it, but it's still not. There's still some weird shady shit going on where somebody could come back at them and go, you know, we're coming back at you. But I mean, like, if you look at like certain things, like I think maybe like Nosferatu and like some of the old German silent movies.
Yeah, you guys did some of that.
We did some of those back in the day. Some of those have kind of rolled over on the silent ones, but you always have, like, say with certain other ones, you know, not to go down a whole big discussion, but you have the estate that say, you know, Lon Chaney's estate, you know, and then you got Universal, who owns the Wolfman from the old Universal movies. But guess what? They might own, you know, the Wolfman movie, but there's always these legal back and forth between the, you know, the studios and the estate, you know. So you got, you know, Lon Chaney's estate and his you know, grandkids and stuff that are overlooking that. So it's like you can't. So sometimes this turns into like, if you want to do something, now you got to pay two people. You ain't paying Universal, and you're paying the estate, or at least getting their okay to do stuff. So you know, that's why sometimes some of these other properties are get really wrapped up. Like, there's a reason you don't see a bunch of Blade Runner stuff out there,
or Tolkien stuff, right? You might could do the Silmarillion or stuff from there, but you can't do
because there's always somebody battling that wants to lay claim on something because they did something, and you know, because we've tried to do Blade Runner. I mean, we did years ago. We had a 1/6 Blade Runner proto that we did, because and we were like, I think we can get this, and it just could not find. And sometimes it's almost damn near impossible to figure out who has what, because the minute you assume or you think you're good and you're paying the right people and whatever, and you go and run with it and you make a product, somebody out of the woodwork comes that was never around, go, I'm the owner of this, show me the money, you guys made X amount of money, and then it becomes an audited legal thing and everything else, and now you're taking a loss or whatever it may be. Luckily, we've never ran into that, but we know that's we're well aware of how some of those things work out like that. But it's crazy, all that stuff.
Cypher just says, okay, just give us Succubus in 1/3. That's all I ask, and I'll be happy. It may be smart to cater to the 1/3 collectors. There are a lot of us. He's not wrong. He's not wrong.
They say they want to drop the money for a big old 1/3 piece, and then they go, where am I going to put this on my shelf?
Why are they coming out with all these big ass statues?
Yeah, what's up with this?
Why are you giving me what I want? I can't do nothing
Why
with
does it come in 12 boxes and I got to pay more shipping than the price of the thing? And it's like, well, you wanted a 1/3 two big
now you got one.
Wings, you know?
Hey,
Annie up.
This vampire lust came out of nowhere too. Look at her just gripping that ass.
Yeah, she sure is.
She's just like,
yes, she
and,
is.
And the funny thing is, you know, as you know, and I see that as a topic that comes up all the time when people look at that and they go, I love the way the fingers are indented in the skin.
That's
this,
me.
That, and yep. But if you look back at my chair here on classic sculpture, marble sculpture, and you know, the Italian masters and everything, that is something that you see all the time in those sculptures, because
you know what? It's a lost art, because there's a lot of statues that are
marble.
Like, no, I'm saying like in a marble, like because like in just the normal stuff that we collect, the pop culture collectible stuff, it's those details that I feel like separate some of the better statues from some of the. So when you get to see it on like stuff like this, it's just like
thing, because you know, here's the thing, you know, when Will was sculpting this, and we were like, man, this is awesome, and we're working, you know, in concert and going, you need to have her in the weight, and everybody's well aware of these things and wants to bring this stuff to fruition when we're doing, you know, we would love to be able to do something like that with, you know, like a DC character or a Marvel character. Licensor would be the first one that's like, man, there's no gripping of any asses or no fingers pushing into skin.
Like
No,
that's
there
a
would be no ass.
Or no,
this
no,
is what this
no
is what I want to
boobs,
talk
you know,
about the original stuff.
You know,
Go ahead.
spilling out of a top or anything like that. So something like this gives us the ability to, not only for Will to showcase his talent as a sculptor and a designer, but it also gives us the ability to like, hey man, look at what can be done.
You got to give it up for Harbottle.
Yeah,
you know what I mean. He's been doing beautiful women.
Oh yeah, he's
you know,
his chicks are awesome.
You know what I mean? You got to give it up for Harbottle.
I mean, look at Deja Thoris, you know, the one that we did, and he sculpted. I mean, her pose and the way she's just kind of chilling, and the way her foot is slightly bent.
Yeah,
he's right there.
There you go.
Yep. Man.
See, representing.
Yeah, no, he's one of the, another names that stood out, and it was because of his female statues. I remember.
I mean, even the arms and the way the hands are of the victim, and I mean, there's so much going on there.
Yeah, like look at the fingers and.
I'm a connoisseur. I appreciate the creativity.
The bite on the neck, dude.
The hair, the flow of the hair. There's so many nuances. Mm-hmm. I mean, just the hand. I mean, just the hand alone. And if you're a fan of, or a connoisseur or art historian of any classical sculpture, I mean, that victim right there could easily be, you know, a marble sculpture out of, you know, Italy or Europe or anything like that. The only difference is that it's a vampire and she's painted and it's a little statue. But if it was done, you know,
do you think this hair is gonna be ironed out? Because you see how perfect it is here.
Yeah, I mean, I'm trying to think if we have one. It should be all nice and tightened up.
Yeah, like that. Because this, like, they did a really good job here.
Yeah. Because the thing is, I think we talked in the past. This here was a 3D print, and
got you. So this one right here is.
So it was just glued together. Mm-hmm. Because when you paint these things, I have some pictures to share with you guys too of all.
Yeah, please do.
Yeah,
look at what this is what we were talking about. I love shit, dude.
That might help with my buying decision because I haven't got this one.
There you go.
Well, then you need to save some money and get on the bandwagon and get that one. That one's awesome. I'm telling you, in person, it's really impressive.
So yeah,
I mean, I don't know when you want me to share pictures or we could talk.
Yeah, go ahead. Just do what you did last time. Present.
I'm trying to remember.
You go to present at the bottom. Put whatever window you want up that you want to share, and then once it's up, you just go to present at the bottom, and then go to share screen.
Yeah, let me.
And then share screen again, and then go to window in the middle, and you should see that window.
Over to my other screen.
Yeah.
Then I'm gonna hit present. Right.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, you are.
Where am I at? What am I doing? Present. Okay.
Present. Yep. Once you hit
share screen.
Share screen.
Gotcha. Screen.
And then you're gonna see tabs at the top. Go to window.
Screen sharing.
Yes. Hit screen share again until you get to the.
Okay. Share screen. Okay. Let's see. Windows.
Yep. Window, and then you should see the window of the.
Window. Why is the? I only see one window. Not two windows.
No, you see Chrome tab, window, and entire screen.
So on window, why am I only seeing one window here?
Do you have? Did you click into the picture you want to show?
No. Maybe that's what it is. Yeah. Let's do. We want to do since we're talking Vampire's Lust. Okay, there we go. So let's go because I got a whole bunch of stuff here. We can go.
Pick the right files now.
Entertain us.
Oh, don't you worry. I made sure I had these all set up before we even went. Everything's off. There's no random stuff laying around where you guys be. So I could show like here. I'll go real quick and just show like. So let's see if
while you do that, I got a question from Jesse. Are there plans to continue with this original line after Krampus?
We always have plans to be doing original stuff. You know what I mean? Gotcha. I'm sorry. I'm like trying to.
No, I see what you have there, but it's. I don't know if that's what you want me to show. It's a
like design for.
Oh, okay. Is this it?
Yeah, that's it. But I need to open up. This is all fine to see, but I mean, I want to open up the actual can I control it as if, did that go big or no? It didn't.
No, so it's probably better to click on the picture and then
damn this Chrome.
Damn this technology.
So yeah, once you do percent, once you get the picture up in a window.
Yeah. That's it. We were doing this last time.
Oh man, you aced it last time like it was a pro, like you did it.
Yeah, it's because of all this Chrome and I'm on a Mac, man. This stuff should just be working.
Yeah, we were talking about that backstage, all y'all Mac people.
Yeah,
Mac,
all you video game designer people,
we PC for life,
code and all kinds of other BS going on. Let's see, Windows.
You got a PC, editor. But you got an iPhone.
Okay, here we go. I think I got it figured out here.
All right. There we go. There we go. Okay. Talk to us.
So this is basically, I'm just going to kind of show some of the process or the evolution of how this works, and I think this might have been shown at one point because I remember people going, you know, the minute I showed this, they're like, man, how come she don't have blood all over her face like in the design, and it would have been so much cooler and everything else. Like, all right, well, she doesn't, and there's reasons behind it, you know, just because it's, you know, when you put, you know, it looks good on illustration, doesn't always look good in statues. And so if we would have went and really like tossed blood all over the bottom of her face and down her chest and everywhere else, the potential for that to go south in production to make it just look kind of shitty is pretty high. You know, it's like, well, because I mentioned before, when things get painted like organic, like weathering or runs or anything, they try to reproduce it so tight that it starts taking on a life of its own, and it just doesn't look like what it's intended to be. And when you're doing something like this that needs to be kind of very artistic and precise, it can get away from you in production. And it's like, let's bias more towards, he doesn't need to be covered in blood to get the point across. So we, you know, it's easier to have the blood coming out of the corner of her mouth and being a little bit more precise. But anyway, that said, this is basically what, you know, a general concept of the idea. And you could see where, like, you know, if you wanted to take it literal and with perspective and everything else, you know, the victim she's out of scale, she's kind of tiny, and you know, whatever it may be. But this is more of just for us to go like, all right, this is in general what we want to make. So it gives you the idea. And you can see right here up in the corner, 510.
That was a 2022, dude.
This thing just hit, you know, that tells you how long this thing has been floating around.
Wow.
I like what you guys did with the blood. I think it's just enough.
Yeah. I mean, so does everybody else. That's why we went with that. But I did see people just kind of like, you know, the eyes and whatever it may be. But teach their own, you know.
Right.
I see you changed the name. Why the name change from Lovers to Lust?
That was like the working title, you know. That was just something that we threw out there. I mean, half the time, I don't know when it usually
it's a project name, title, probably most likely.
And then once marketing hits, they start getting in their marketing engine, and they're like, "Vampire Lovers, that sounds lame. You know, we need to make it more, whatever." And you know, and then they start working it with their little marketing machine. Half the time, the name once it gets closer to marketing and they start spilling out the name, I'm like, wait, what piece are you guys talking about? I don't even know what you're talking about.
What is that? What
I'm
are
like,
we doing here?
Vampire Lovers? And they're like, what? And then they go, what piece are you talking about? And I'm like, this one. And I'm like, oh,
what
you guys.
Are you talking about?
Yeah, exactly. Like, wow.
It's the same with games. You work on a project, right? And it's just a project name, and you can't change it because everything, every bug you got written on it, everything is based off of
it throws everything off.
The project name, right?
When I was pulling pictures, you know, we have our tracking kind of base camp system, and it's listed as Vampire Lovers on mine. And I seen it, and I was like, you know what? Now that it's out, I might as well change it to, you know, to the other time, Vampire Lust. I was like, you know, even though it's already done, I was just like, let me change it to what it needs to be.
We usually don't change it because then it messes up every tracking, everything. So it has to stay whatever the project name is. It's never going to be the final name.
Yep. Let me get to something that's a little bit more interesting.
Casual says 5/10/22. Dang, even an original takes time to get a statue going, eh?
Yeah, because you know, you got to find when you're going to do it and who's working on it. Is that sculptor free? Is when's it going to go into the factory? How long is it going to take to get painted and everything else? Prints clean. There's so many. Sorry, there's so many facets to. There's so many things that you have to consider. Let's see. I'm just trying to pick some stuff that might be interesting. Let me see if I start nailing this the right way here.
Nail it.
Nail it.
Nail that mofo.
That coming up.
Boom.
Yeah. So I mean, this is just another a picture of showing the process before it even gets sculpted. So there we have our designers like going, okay, what do we want the dress to look like? What is high collar? They start tossing out ideas. I mean, this is probably the same with you with video games. Lace and leather and chains. But as we start bulking this stuff out, we have chains and sorry guys.
Yeah, I'm gonna
it's
say
okay.
Pineapple.
We got chains and all kinds of stuff floating around, and then the reality kicks in. The designers are just designing. They're like, man, we want to do this. This is gonna be cool. And then the reality of it is just like, listen, there ain't gonna be no little fine dangly chains and all this stuff because in production, that ain't gonna work out. They're gonna break, or you got to source some real chain or whatever it may be. So it's like, okay, you got to nix this, nix that, change this, change that, whatever it may be. And you're kind of seeing the, some of the stuff that goes into all of that. Let's see.
Yeah, like I always love seeing the 2D and how they take that 2D and transition it to 3D.
Right. And I'll show you some kind of like a mood board of like reference type scenario that that we'll look at when we're sculpting.
I love this behind the scenes.
Yeah, I always like sharing that stuff because I just got to jump through all these hoops to get these pictures up on here. Slowing down the party.
No, it's all good. I'm gonna show you next time. Show you how to put it all in one folder, and then you just use your arrow key.
Yeah, you can just zoom in, like if you just do a collage and just.
Zoom in.
Is that what you're talking about?
No, it's just pretty much. You could just put them like if they're named a certain way, you could just tab and go back and forth through them, zoom in and out of them. But there are also the boards too. But just to do it easier.
Yeah. You'll have to.
Is that a real model?
Right there.
Those are real models, right? In the red dress and the other.
Let's see here. Let me try to move this around. See if I can.
So this I'm not sure for tonight, but there is something that's coming up in the next couple of weeks or so.
Oh yeah. We want to announce some stuff eventually. I'm trying to get it to go into full screen mode, but it doesn't seem to do that. Anyway, so this is basically kind of shows. There we go. Some of when we do mood boards and we have the drawing and we're like, what is the dress going to look like? What are the shoes going to look like? Well, we want so the dress, these are just images that are I think even the dresses that might have been like a dress from Bram Stoker or something. It's basically inspiration to get the design, going. And so, we like, shoes kind of like this, and boots and, a headdress, we might've had some sketches of a headdress and the look of the victim's face, that's kind of like that upper drawing or image there. That's kind of, to get some ideas how we want, the blousing of the arms and the back of the dress and, see through and different elements basically that, so it kind of gives you a little bit more of the creative, things that go into trying to figure stuff out.
Dude, yeah. No, it's funny to see processes done very similar, no matter where you are in the industry.
Exactly, it's that way in the movies. It's that way in the
right.
You know,
yeah, and then it's like that way in the movies. Like we was talking about the name change. There's been a lot of movies that come out. It had a totally different name before.
Star Wars was that way. You know, Star Wars. They all because the thing is when they had those names,
Revenge of the Jedi.
They didn't want anybody knowing what they were up to. You know, because if somebody was like, man, and they still do it to this day. You know, they go, oh, what's this Star Wars thing? Well, you know, this is Star Wars, but they have some goofy fake name to it. Then somebody's going like, that doesn't. We don't care about any of that. And then next thing you know, it's like, oh, that they were working on, you know, whatever it may be, and they're like, damn, we knew that. You know, they were up to trying to be sneaky.
Gotcha.
Yeah, you know.
Timba asks, do these sketches start with one designer and they pass the work to someone else for a different part? For example, someone has the anatomy, another has clothes, accessories.
It's a collaboration. I mean, our you know, we have Richard Long and Ian McDonald and stuff. One of them might have a project where it's like, oh, you guys are going to be drawn. So Richard was working on this one. And you know, if he's down to get everything that we need, and it's his, and he has the vision to kind of make it happen, he'll run with it. But if he finds himself in a bind on some clothing or a face or something, or he needs assistance, even if it comes from Will, where he can't figure something out, he'll work in conjunction with Will to sculpt something out real quick, and then he'll pick up and start drawing it. So it's definitely a collaborative process, where it'll jump back and forth on various things.
Cypher asks, what's the next in line in the Sideshow Original Ladies? Any hints? And of course, you don't have to. I know.
On the is he talking about the stuff that Will was doing?
What's next in the line in the Sideshow Original Ladies? So like, you got another lady coming up? Yeah,
well, we had the line that Will was doing. I'm already drawing I'm drawing a blank.
The Pulp Vixens.
Yeah, the Pulp Vixens.
I got that diver.
Yeah. Yep. So we have two. There's a third one that Will has done that is pretty awesome, and you know, so it's a female figure. I mean, they're all obviously Pulp Vixens. So there's one. There's some other stuff we have. Let me see what I can see. There's 1, 2, 3. There's 3 that are definitely already in the works, that are original, that are going to be pretty awesome.
Yeah, and CriPPleR and I saw the one on the staircase, the blind. We saw that as, you know, StatueCon.
Oh yeah. The
I forget the name of that.
Yeah, Mr. Sin.
Yeah, that one. I'm looking at that. What she's got on, it looks like silk.
Yeah,
and it looks like material.
That's how the dress on the Vampire's Lust looks. I mean, it looks like it's satin. You know.
Oh my.
Yeah,
trying to get me to spend some money.
Oh, that's right.
Help me, Anthony.
Help me, Anthony. You're my only hope.
No, yeah, help me. I should say, help me, AK. Hold me back.
No, I'm gonna enable you.
You're gonna push me through the door.
Be the dark.
Anthony wants to go on a cruise, so you know you gotta help. You gotta help on that cruise.
The dark side of my bank account.
What up, Juan Ortega?
I think, did a picture come up?
Did a picture come up? Yeah, sure did. I was just.
So this is the finished model. It's all said and done.
It's ready to become an output.
Yeah, that's right. An output. 3D print output.
On the way to be an output. Yeah.
Basically, this is part of what we, you know, when we finish a piece and it's all engineered and everything. I'll show a picture of it. We have like a part Bible, which breaks it down to all the separate parts once it's engineered, on how it needs to get printed and how it ends up going overseas for production.
82 pieces.
Oh, you've seen that, right?
Oh, wow.
See that?
Dang.
There's 82 pieces of this. So when people go like, man, I don't understand what's all the
Why it
cost
costs so much?
You got 82 pieces to this, and I think I have a couple pictures that show all 82 pieces. So you can see why it's 82 pieces.
That's crazy.
Very, very impressive piece.
How does it feel as a project manager knowing that, like, a whole bunch of different disciplines have to come together to create this result, and when you finally nail it, well, the team finally nails it and it's approved, like,
it's awesome. I think the thing that feels great is when we work on a piece and it goes into submission to a licensor, because we're all on board on internally. You know, we're like, you know, this is awesome. That, you know, we've done what we had to do. The part is like, okay, submit it for sculpt approval. And that's where you're like, all right, let's see what happens, because they're the ones at the end of the day, you know, that are going to go. And this is licensed stuff, obviously. This, at the end of the day, they're like, nope, change this, change that, change it. And they'll be the quickest one to deflate you, because you know it looks awesome. And it's usually something weird and just weird that will take away from the aesthetic and everything. You're just like, oh, you got to be kidding me. But when you do a piece and you send it in for approval, and it's like, you know, a week or two later, and they're like, approved, no changes. You're like, it's Miller time, you know. It's like it's a celebration of
winning.
Yep, exactly. So, you know, and you know, on originals and stuff, the part that's always great is once it goes to market and you see, you know, up for order and you see numbers or see how it's doing, you know, you start getting the instant feedback and you're like, you know, this is awesome. People are into this. We knew it. But there's times, you know, where it's like, man, how many is this mic on? Hello? Is somebody not paying attention? What's going on?
Are we
here?
Sending out the text blast fast enough?
Man. It was our
text blast working.
Are you picking up what I'm putting down?
Yeah, anybody send that? And then it's, you know, you get it goes back to that thing when you know, back in the day when the collecting was a little bit not so saturated, when you put a piece up, the name of the game was like, I remember back in the day, we knew a piece was going up. People would announce over the intercom in the building, throwing out like, we're going live, you know, in the morning, and everybody's just going, you know, it's like a damn rocket launch or something. Like, oh shit, it's going live. And then next thing you know, they're like, you know, they'll announce something like, oh, servers crashed, or you know, X amount sold, or, you know, later in the day sold out. And we're like, damn. You know,
is there a piece that you thought was gonna sell out mad fast and didn't, and then vice versa? Like, is there one that you was like, oh man, this one's not gonna do that great, but projecting wise, and then it just blew up? Like,
me personally, I always thought Thanos on Throne was a shock to me.
Really?
Yeah, I was like, I don't know, man. I don't know if it's the non-comic book guy in me, but I was like, man, what's so great about this thing, you know? And everybody, there was a buzz in how like, this thing's cool, and I was just like, yeah, it's
whatever.
And then when it came out, and it just went bonkers, and to this day, you know, it's kind of set a precedent. You know, people could say whatever they want about, you know, pieces sitting down and thrones and everything else, but we were the first ones out there, you know, with the old Dr. Doom. And then that was kind of where that Thanos came from, was like, we had so much success with Doom. We're like, hey, you know what? How about we do this in a throne? We've never done any other ones. And, you know, it went crazy. And then next thing you know, everybody and their brothers putting somebody sitting down in a chair doing something. This
now
day,
they got whole chair lines.
Yeah, exactly. I've seen collectors that are like,
there's people that don't deserve a throne.
I think there was like, who's that dude, Mr. X or whatever?
Oh, shout out to Mr. X. Yeah,
I don't know him. I briefly met him at StatueCon, but I caught one of his videos recently, and he was like, here's my shelf with everything sitting on a throne, you know. So he has
Just
the
a
whole
throne
wing
wall.
Yeah, that's
sitting on the
crazy.
throne, and I
He's
was
got
like,
a
well,
throne wall.
yeah, I was like, there you go, you know.
Yeah. I don't like my heroes lazy or villains lazy. Get your ass up.
chilling.
There's some crime to fight.
Chilling.
Get your ass up and do something.
Yeah.
Get off your ass.
Get up, man.
Yeah.
Get off your ass and get your ability
this
on.
So this is what it looked like to you guys when you guys first got the 3D render.
Yeah, this is the final sculpt. So I'm just kind of showing some of the details that you might not see in painted photos. You know, all the various bats and the hair and the lace work, and you know, a lot of people are like, you know, how'd you do that? And there's a top view for you right there. How'd you do all that lace work? You know, is that paint? Is that sculpted? You know, and it's like, no, man, it's
is that
sculpted.
velvet?
Yeah, and it's sculpted like it holes in her neck for where she got bit, which you don't necessarily see. All of this lace work around her neck, you know, the wrinkles, you know, just the gesture and the leather texture and the, you know, in the boots and the buttons and the toenails and, you know, the way the heels and the texture on the feet. I mean, there's so much detail. And then there's, you know, the part that we talk about, you know, where the hands just kind of smack it up, flip it,
rub it down.
She knows how to treat a lady.
Yeah.
No, she came out. She's beautiful. I really, really love the original line. I love the ladies, and like, I'm pretty sure there's monsters and other things. I don't think it's tied to like just the ladies. It's more of the originality you guys put into it, and the I guess the stuff you guys can do without worrying about repercussions or
exactly.
Or
it gives us freedom to, and we almost need that, because it's like, you know, we get so tired after a while bending, you know, at times to things that we would love to do with the comic book characters.
Bend the knee.
I agree 100%, Timber.
You know,
Okay.
and this just shows the lace work on the arms, which is pretty incredible. You know,
wow,
look at that. All sculpted.
All sculpted to match, and no weird.
No cut and sew here, boys.
Right? Yeah, there's no cut and sew on here.
Yeah, and I'm looking at the pictures right now. You can see through. You can see the flesh.
Yeah. Yeah. And it's all done in a way so when it gets painted, you know, the flesh would be here and flesh is here. The high parts are the parts that are black, so that allows us to get the paint on the top. Where some people would probably go in like, well, let's make it etched in, and then you just do a wash and rub it off, and maybe you get the lines, and it's like it might get sloppy, but at the end of the day, it won't look right. So, you know.
Yeah, no. And that's the thing. The more intricate that lace work is, the more confident in the factories you got to be to actually convey those intricacies.
Yep.
And that's not a bad price for two characters.
I was shocked at the price, to be honest, because and that kind of goes back to earlier when we were saying, you know, does when you do an original, or is that getting passed on? Mm-hmm. And when I looked, because I wasn't aware of what the price was on that piece, and I was looking at it this morning, I was like, wait, what? For 2 quarter scale figures, I think it's like at almost $700 or 600 and some, and I'm like, and that goes to tell you though, you got Batman and Joker, and it's higher than that, but you have to factor in, you got to pay a license or
$680.
Yeah, so $680 for, I mean, that piece is, you see the detail and you know how big it is and everything else, and it's
pretty much.
See, that's
on there.
And now we already talked about it and going over to you know what goes into it, but like around that price, if the Ghost Rider was around that price or even 800, I would have jumped on it.
Yeah, and once again, it's a
big, a lot goes into
big pricey piece, and it is and you know, with the lights and everything else, it is what it is. It's
I gotta go back and watch some of the video. I know people who's been putting up videos of the reviews.
Yeah, Fatal, he's got some good pictures and videos up.
And this is just an early on. You can see it's not completed, but you know, starting to get the anatomy and the and the look and how
She's
the
got
hair.
great assets.
It does.
She has wonderful asset.
Will's doing it right.
Wonderful assets.
Yeah. And what I love about Will's sculpts is that they look very realistic, and there's gravity in the world. You know what I mean? You know, there's anatomy. It's not like it doesn't look fake and weird. There's little sags and skin and gravity and shape and
she's not a toothpick with like freaking balloons.
Yeah,
that's a woman.
I think that's
she doesn't have beach balls.
Yeah, exactly. But I mean, even to the face,
the face. Look at that face. It's very seductive.
Yeah, and this isn't even finished. This is still all rough.
Wow.
And just kind of blocked in and kind of plotted out.
This is my mindset when I first seen these. It's just like, could it be a one and done, right? Juan's asking, I'm late to the party, but are you guys getting this one, right? So, and this is one of those things where it's just like, I'm so like getting one original was a stretch for me. So then I'm just sort of like, all right, I'm going to get the succubus. And then the vampire one comes out. I was on the BBC Cash show and I was like, dude, now which one do I get out of these two? And then now I'm walking around with my wife. It's just sort of like, maybe I put a shelf up here and just sort of like
have a line.
Just the originals, up there. But
right,
I don't know. But yeah, no, that's a testament.
You need your original shelf now.
Yeah, I know, right? Just the shelf, gravity and physics.
It's physics. Once again, this is a little bit rough, but you're getting now the victims in there and gesture and airflow and I mean, come on now. Look at the bottom of those feet.
Yeah. I love a good foot.
Hey,
there you go.
Dude, okay. I know Daniel said, got a picture of his foot to make the Hawks.
That's Anthony's foot.
You
ever think they ever do that with an actual female foot?
No, but we had in the past. We've used live models to get some reference and posing and stuff back in the day.
I know you guys
were using live models to rough out before we were doing digital and everything. So
I know you guys used a live model for the the Electra a few years back.
Oh yeah, we did have some stuff there. Yep.
She's right there.
There you go. Boom.
Yeah, no. Thanks for sharing that, dude. That's
I wanted to show you one that's really kind of people probably.
Please do.
This is one that people are going to go, what is this? And it's basically just kind of showing what goes into the design on the minutia of it all. It's not boobs or butts, but so we have all those bats that are in that base where they're kind of flocking up and flying and they're coming out of the blood. Well,
blood bats.
They went and did, one of the artists that worked on this, he's escaping, but we had another artist that was working with Will to help do on the base, and I'm bummed that I can't because we've only used him a couple times. So I'm not that familiar with him yet. So it kills me that I don't remember his name. I want to say Emiliano. But he went in. Oh, here's a neutral bat. Here's an evil bat. Rage 1, Rage 2. So there's all these little bat faces. And that just goes to show that, when we do this stuff, it's one bat fits it all. It's not like, just make one bat and just toss it in there and multiply it and bend the wing and done. There's way more that goes into it than that. There's little different expressions and just to kind of give, little pissed off bat, little, all these different things that go into it.
And that's the thing, the stuff that a lot of people will take for granted more of that, because with little details like this, if you get it wrong, it stands out. But if you get it right, it doesn't.
Right.
It's because it's just sort of like, oh, it looks cool. Look at the faces, everything is great.
And I think people just don't know. You know what I mean? They just they couldn't even think that would be a reason that would be something that's considered in the sculpt until you make it known or front and center. You go, now check this out. And they're like, what? I never even thought you guys would have to do any of this. And it's like, somebody does.
My symbiote Spider-Man base, the black suit symbiote Spider-Man one.
Nice
like
piece.
Even there, when I look, because it's right here, I look at the angels and like the facial expressions they chose for that, the way the arms are folded and how they chose that, like all of that little
all that stuff is considered. And I'm sure you working in video games, you know how that works out. You
get it right, it doesn't stick out, it feels good. But when it doesn't, that's when they call it.
And the thing is that stuff doesn't exist. You have to make it. It doesn't. It doesn't just happen.
Oh man, yeah. The stuff that the amount of effort you got to go to just make it feel good, and feeling can be subjective.
Right.
But there's a lot of things that if you might want to try. People know that jump is usually this button. You ain't gonna don't reinvent the wheel on that, right? You know what I mean? Because it's like, it's gonna throw it off. So it's very similar. But man, that stuff is. I'm excited to see what's next in the line. I know you guys are cooking, so you'll get back to us on some more.
Oh yeah, I got. I was gonna make an announcement this episode, but
we'll save it. We want to make sure things are ready. We don't want to do do things early, and then it gets posted and it's not done and all of this stuff. So when we do it, we'll do it right, and it'll be
for sure.
And we want you to keep your job.
Me too.
Me too. So we're cooking some stuff. It's just more of like,
I mean, they're all good. They're all good about it. They just wanted to make sure we had everything in place if I announced it, people wouldn't be coming back to the site going, wow, it went up. It was announced. Now we don't have the hype's there. Now we don't have any means of reacting to it. So, but
we are
all good
but
things.
You know what we need to find out before we go? We need where is it?
The snap.
That's not it. Dun 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 dun. Here it is.
I had a feeling you were going to go snap.
One must get snapped out of existence. I feel like this is a pretty easy one for you, Anthony, but I don't know. You never know.
Yeah, I think we all know. We see what shirt I'm wearing there.
I see it right there on the screen.
Yeah. I think Menace needs to go on that. Yeah.
He's snapping out Menace to Society.
Yeah. Boys in the Hood.
My old dog.
Yeah, Boys in the Hood has always been mine. Don't get me wrong. I like Menace, but it was a little too. Boys in the Hood was a little bit more edgier and
good kid trying to do the right thing.
Yeah,
but then
plus you had Cube in there, man.
Ice Cube.
Oh yeah, Cube.
Yeah.
Critical Mass. You're in LA. You're in Killicali.
Mm-hmm.
Bye, old dog. Bye bye. I like
Darth,
the movie. But
Rashid, are you there, my brother?
Are you with us?
He's sleeping.
Rashid knocked out.
Okay, AK.
Yes, sir.
Which one you snapping?
What you got?
I'm gonna be honest. I've never seen Menace to Society, so it's
by default.
By default, yeah.
So it's good.
Whenever Boys in the Hood's on TV, I'm always watching it because it's like it was one of those movies that is
both of them.
just good.
The reason I did that because I know Rashid quotes Menace to Society a lot, so I wanted to see.
He's missing.
He's quoting it a lot. But today I asked the panel if they have anything they want to bring up, and Rashid had a great topic, and we'll hit that, and then we'll close out. And it is it'll be cool because we'll get Anthony's perspective from the Sideshow side of it. But it is the hobby in a slump? We can start with you, Critical Mass.
Not for me
chat,
because
if you guys have
not
anything
for
to add
me
for us.
because I think I've put what about 4 things on pre-order this year alone. So I'm doing good. It's not in a slump for me, but
I think it depends,
I don't know.
right?
It really depends on what you're looking for, what you want.
Exactly. Like if you're collecting a certain line, right, or like whatever, like I could see it'd be a slump for certain people. Like for instance, like I think if you're into X-Men, you're eating good. Sideshow's feeding the fuck
Yeah, you
right now. You know what I mean?
Oh,
that's a good thing. We talked about the original stuff. There's a lot of originality there, so you're not stuck to just the big comic book stuff.
Speaking of, we just got our Weapon X in a couple days ago.
Oh, I was gonna ask about it because I know that.
That's what Critical Mass is waiting for.
Yeah,
there's a lot of people waiting to see the reveal on that because
I think it. I'm really happy with it. So,
you know, I have to ask you. Can I get an update on that Bishop? You know, I was gonna ask.
On that Bishop, the paint. The paint. Now we're getting off of our little.
Forget
what we were talking about. But
that,
I mean,
that was Rasheed's topic, and he.
We done cut it out. The Bishop looks awesome. The paint tweaks have happened. We're waiting on. I should be getting the base from the new, because we had it lit, but we were trying to push the light. The one that we had, the light was only at the bottom.
Yeah, trying to push it all the way around.
We wanted to push it all the way up.
Yes.
Oh, we pushed it up. So we got it up, and we've only seen it in video and photos from overseas. So we're getting the sample in. We should get it. If it doesn't show up tomorrow, it'll be here next week, and then we'll get to evaluate it in person. But if it looks anything like what we seen prior to them showing it to us,
I'm glad you guys figured that out.
It's me too, because I was like, man, it needs to get up.
Hey, Anthony. So like a situation like this where you haven't seen it yet, they're shipping it to you. Is it by boat or is it by air? Do they get it to you quick?
It depends how we tell them to ship it. I think they should. I think it's a hard question. I think they ship it by air. Sometimes they ship it by boat. It depends if it's coming on, on a shipment, or if it's something that we need right away. Then they'll get it to us by air. It'll come over in a couple of days or whatever.
Yeah, that was just a thought.
I think it's coming over on air. They just said they're like, oh, expect the base to come in a week or whatever, and that could be by air unless you expedite it. So
right,
that's cool because like that's the biggest. Like I said, the core foundation of that Bishop is immaculate. I think it's there. I know there's some memes going around about the Eddie Murphy thing. What? The Eddie Murphy.
What
vampire
bullshit?
With the vampire.
I never even seen. No, I seen those. I seen those stupid ass memes. No, they are funny. I thought it was hilarious. The only thing that bums me out is they could have done it better.
If y'all gonna meme, like I
would have made it way better than that.
No, but like it's what I'm waiting to see is the lighting and the fact that you're saying y'all put in the effort to try and make it. It is going reaching the top now. Perfect. I can't wait to see that fully lit.
I can't either. It looks
and
great.
Then the final paint.
Yeah,
Bernardo. See, there's some people that like it to be very bright and cartoony, and I'm sort of the opposite of that, right?
Trust me, it looks great. I mean, Bernardo got in there, dialed in the paint. Once again, when we showed pictures on the last time, I was a little kind of bummed because no matter what you do, it's like, hey man, I'm giving you guys a little sneak peek, and I put on the image like first paint pass or test pass or whatever, like. This isn't the final thing, and people snatched that up. And I know I mentioned to you, and people snatched it up and went crazy. And then all of a sudden started going like, "Man, I don't like this paint." And it's like, what part of first paint?
What part of
do you guys not understand?
Yeah, and this is why whatever we do, it's just gonna be
Yeah. And it's all, and you know, it is what it is. It's human nature, but it's just like, come on, guys.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah, and that's the thing. I totally understand it because it's a thing where usually how it goes, at least for me, is like you go to Facebook and then you looking at the images that go through, and you don't go to a certain one. You just go through and then you just see it, and then wherever I see it first, I just end up grabbing a picture and like to show for the show, and that's probably been 5 or 6 ways away from the original source, and then without the context, and you just grab it or whatever, and then it's just sort of like
degrading and get more pixelated, and then people want to recrop, and then they crop out the thing that says first paint pass, and
you know, and I knew it was gonna happen too because I like. Before I was like, yeah, if you can't get something,
I'm gonna see what's up, you know.
Yeah. And then I was like, with the time we woke up, it was too late. It was everywhere because he was gonna try and get us some better with context and all of that stuff, just a little behind the scenes, and we were gonna, and that's the reason I chose not to put it up at all because I knew it was gonna be a clip of a clip. So I was like,
and that's kind of the thing. That's kind of the thing, like. That I was running into with, you know, wanted to bring up a piece that we're, you know, debut drop a topic on a piece that we're going to do on the show here. It was like, I want to make sure, like, hey, I can show it, but you know, hey, let me know if I can, you know, if you guys are ready to put up high res images of what I show, because none of the images are coming off high res through the feed. People are just snapping them, and I go, we should, you know, or just tell me, like, or I just give you the high res ones and you can post them and then people can yank them. Like, to me,
we don't mind that because I like if we get I want all of the people to grab it up. Like I'm not trying to get exclusivity stuff like that. It's more of like get it in and then share it. But what I want to do is just make sure it's not.
Yeah, if there's after a while, and here's the thing.
I just want to make sure that whatever they get is of quality.
I think it was just like maybe a week ago or something. Sideshow put those same images that I shared with you a while back up somewhere, and retitled them and added extra titles on it. But they're the same exact pictures.
Yeah, and, but that takes time when you're doing it on that level, right?
And it's kind of like guerrilla style. Like, let's get the. I'm gonna drop
because that's what you want to do. Like you was like we would talk about. It's like, yo. Like it'd be cool to just show some early process, like just early, doesn't have to be too crazy, just sort of understand how things start and where it is in the process. And then as you go along, you could get updates from it. Yeah. But it's very hard to control that message. You have to get something
that nobody's seen. Like with Succubus and even though I didn't show anything on Succubus, but on Vampire's Lust and stuff, that piece is out and up. So there's no harm, no foul putting stuff up. People aren't going to like be quick to judge and go like, what is this? It's like, man, this thing's out. You guys aren't, but you know, with Bishop,
they see what the final is already, so it's easy to add the context.
They can go to the site.
You can add the cart right now.
Yeah,
and that's always the challenge of like us and my colleagues and the peers that do this is just trying to figure out a way to sort of do things where we can bring the people that watch us something a little more in the process, like, or
it's the same. Like, it's the same thing on my end. Like if I'm going to come onto the show and hang out or whatever, I have the opportunity to bring some stuff with me. You know, some little treats, so to speak, and show stuff. I just don't want to come on and go, hey guys, I'm here. You know, and I'm just and everybody knows I'm working at site, because what's going to happen is everybody's going to go, what is Sideshow doing? What do you got new? And what do you got that? And this, and that.
You know what I told you, because we was gonna, like, you asked if we could, if you want, it ain't ready, we could cancel it to whatever. I'm like, dude, just come hang out. Like, you don't have to bring anything like it. Like,
and plus I don't, you know, also, you know, I said it in the past, you know, we haven't done a bunch of these, but I also don't want to be like, you know, like, man, who invited this dude to the party all the time? Because we can't speak freely and talk shit about Sideshow because
you're the homie.
Walking in the back door somewhere.
You're the homie.
I'm very sensitive to that, but regardless of the situation, there's always going to be people that say that or whatever, and you can't control that. People who know me, they know me. People who don't, this channel's not monetized, so it's sort of like. So for me, it's more of like, besides all of this other stuff, it's cool to talk to you about other things other than statues, right? And then the fact that you can add insight is a boon to the people that watch when you could bring them sneak peeks or whatever like that. It's a bonus. So it's sort of like, it's a win-win. If you have, you have, but like it's not mandatory. And we're figuring all of this stuff. All of this stuff is new to me as well. The goal is it to see if like, hey, have interesting conversations, have some fun, and at the same time, if we could, these people love statues. If we could bring them some early looks, like I know if I'm watching a show and somebody drops something like that I'm interested in, is like I'm gonna be like, yo, that's dope, right? So I try to think like that.
Yeah, there's a reason we're all here to begin with, you know.
Yep.
So
We'll figure this whole thing out, but in the meantime, dude, it's just fun sharing that type of stuff with you. I mean,
I have fun sharing it. You know, I love it because you know I'm around it 24/7, and I'm around it 24/7 with the same people.
Yeah.
So you know, it's like how many times are you going to be going over this stuff every day, and everybody sees it, and we've seen the stuff we've been looking at for years, you know, and it's like, man, this is stuff that nobody gets to see. Nobody gets the opportunity to see. Only a few of us have the ability to share it with other people. Until we do a total behind the scenes book to share that stuff with, you're not going to see it, you know.
Right. And that's just cool. And the whole thing too is just being able to like that's the thing. Like if I felt like I had to hold my tongue at all, or I couldn't say how I really feel about a piece, that's what would. Then it would have became awkward. Right. You know what I mean? Then it would have been like, no.
Yeah.
But the fact that I could be shown something, and I could give feedback on it, and you guys could either add context, agree, or whatever like that, is the reason why I'm open to it. It's because like I don't feel like I have to change. The way I talk, my opinion.
You're not kissing the ring.
Nah.
Yeah.
No. And that's a testament to you guys.
I haven't got any free statues or games from CriPPleR, so I
haven't got no free statues from Sideshow. But cool, yo, Anthony, thank you. So, is there anything you want to say to the people before we get out of here?
Oh man, other than always thanks for the support. I'm glad you guys are watching. I hope you enjoy the stuff that we've been talking about, because if so, that just means it'll give more opportunity for me to be popping up, talking shop, and just talking the talk about all this stuff. Like I said, I have the opportunity to do it. Sideshow sees that there's interest in it, so as long as people are paying attention, it's all good, and it doesn't turn into a big shit show of sort, it'll continue to happen. But I have fun as long as I can plan it in. It's late on my end, but it's even later on your guys' end. So it's just trying to figure out the time, because when I start on this, if it's at 6, I'm at work right now, obviously.
Yeah.
So, some of the guys, I had to print out a sign and put it on my door, and I said, hey man, don't come knocking and bugging in my office.
You can let them in and be like, hey, yo, what's up? I need your approval on this.
Yeah, this
is bring it to the camera. I need your approval.
Or even they just come knocking in or walking in and saying a bunch of kooky stuff that doesn't have anything to do with anything, running around. And I'm like, man, I'm online right now. I'm talking.
That'll be fun. That'll be the real inside peek.
Yeah,
that would be. They say, hey, can you sign up on this?
Yeah, and I'm like, get out of here.
No, you're in trouble. They'll be saying something about a licensee or something, and they'd be like, uh-oh.
They'd
be saying the name that we didn't know was coming out. You doing that?
There ain't that many important people working this late at night. So it's usually the goofing around that starts happening late at night, where people come busting in and saying something silly or just being crazy. But I think even across the street at one of our other buildings, they were doing karaoke night or something. And they're like, man, you're gonna be here late? You're gonna go do some karaoke? There's pizza. And I was like, man, I'm doing a podcast. I'm doing it.
I want to go to that. I want to go to that theater that I hear you got.
Man, you and I need to talk. We need to schedule something for you to come on over here. I'm serious about that. We mentioned it before, but we never...
don't play, dude. He says what he means.
Yep. So we need to talk.
I got a car with a tank full of gas. Just let me know.
All right. Yep.
And for me, dude, I appreciate all of the birthday wishes you guys sent me.
Oh yeah. Happy belated.
That's right.
No, because I was like, I was real bummed because I was like,
forever.
man, I got to make a little Photoshop thing, and it just, I was like, well, now it's already too late, and I'm gonna be coming in late with some little Photoshoppy thing.
No, it's like today is where I seen most of it anyway, because it's sort of like I'm busy with a lot of personal stuff, so it's just sort of like when I got to log in to prep the show, I seen all of the happy like Facebook love, and I appreciate everybody who did something, dude. That was awesome. It made my day. It made me smile. So appreciate all of you guys. And if I haven't got back to you guys on Facebook, ask Anthony. There was a couple of days where I was just like gone. It's because
I was like, man, maybe I don't know. Get my message, but I figured I go eventually.
I'm back.
You said, is he ghosting me?
No, it's like yeah. So I appreciate all you guys that bear with me. I'll get back to the homies. But yo, Critical Mass, what do you got to say to the people?
I just would say thanks, Anthony. Thanks for coming to hang out. It's always nice chilling with you.
My pleasure.
We broke bread and had drinks at the dive bars. So it's always good when you come through. And hey, shout out to the chat.
Shout out to the chat.
Glad y'all joined us. You could have been anywhere else, but you decided to come here with us.
Anthony Kennedy and your Twitch streams. That's something in here that seems like a bad link, though.
No, I'm still figuring out how to work Twitch, but I was able to delete it and ban them. So.
Yeah. What's up to AK's Twitch chat? And what do you got to leave the people with?
Tomorrow, what do I have tomorrow? Miguel show.
Miguel, Toy Quest 101
tomorrow.
Yeah, what is it? Oh, Collectors Assemble. Listen, I'm tired. It's been a long week. It's been stressful. So I'm like,
I'm going to talk to your boss, by the way. They don't treat you like that.
Go ahead.
They don't treat you right. Yeah, we're going to have to kick.
So tomorrow, 8:30, Collectors Assemble live. We'll be back on a regular time.
Check them out, homies. Shout out to Miguel and the boys. Rashid, are you there? You want to say peace to the people?
I think he's.
Yo, check this out. Y'all can see me repping WuTang. Yo, Anthony, where's my shirt? I'll sing for a shirt, Anthony. You know I'll sing for a shirt.
Nas was number one.
Number one.
Yo, tell that guy Buck Fangs, he a liar.
Tell Buck Fangs, forget him and his anatomy checks.
Ain't nobody listening to him.
He's not a real collector.
You are right. Thanks, guys. All right. You can catch all of us next week, same time, Thursday, 9 p.m. EST. Constructive Outrage. Peace. You know what? Since Rashid ain't here, you know what we leave?
Yeah, do it.
What a money reside. What a money reside. What a money.